housing experts, but I think we came up with some principles. They all kind of like were around local decisions, local solutions, and local responsibility. And I think that's what community areas are all about. We wanted to generate and sustain affordable, low-cost housing. We wanted to lobby for reinstatement of council housing. Political. We wanted local decisions to be made at a local level, not dictated from a higher level. So we talked about possible development over towards the Crown Estate land, and we thought, brilliant, there'll be some opportunities for new access routes. But those access routes shouldn't be about speeding us off towards Wroughton and Swindon, or just about speeding us off towards Wroughton and Swindon. They should also be about taking a footpath from that area into Marlborough itself. We wanted flexible solutions that took account of people's needs at a local level. We heard about a story about a young lady whose parents both died, and because she was in kind of like sheltered housing, she was required to move out of that housing because there were 2 bedrooms in that place and she only needed 1. So instead of being relocated within her community, she was relocated somewhere else where she needed help from other services. And I think and my one last point, because it is late, is we also talked about fuel poverty and the whole idea looking at our housing stock, and not just about the number of houses, but also the quality, the type of houses, and whether those houses are of the right specification in current fuel costs and fuel crises that we have. Anyway, I would just leave you with the point, it's got to be local and it's got to be integrated.
Six main points we extracted on this. One of the big local topics, as anyone living in town will be aware, I think, is the River Kennet. There are 4 points in the document, and they don't mention the River Kennet. They don't talk about the problems of the Kennet. So, and we'd like to think that something should be in there about that. We would challenge the impression given around information that the condition data of the water in the river is good. There's subtleties around that give the impression all is well. A big concern on that side is that the main solution coming, which is a pipeline from North Swindon to South Swindon, could be as far as 4 or 5 years away. So there is quite a hot topic there, and there needs to be some fresh thinking around it if at all possible. And somebody had some evidence that metering makes a big difference. So we could have something pushed out locally as part of a campaign that we can do our bit by increasing metering, driving down local use of water. The second point was around the connection between farmers and forestry and environmental education, and there were some great examples around what the NFU and others are doing to reach out to schools, encourage reintroduction of new types of birds. A big concern they've got on fly tipping, and several areas of opportunity in there. We talked briefly on renewable energy. It's not something that's mentioned in the environment points. There's very little wind power in the region, but small but growing use of people getting some solar, and we think there's something there to talk about. That could be even just by sort of promoting how easy it is getting more and more educational information. Then in the second group, we heard about some problems of maintaining rights of way. We think there could be something said around the SSI's point and quality countryside around just how many kilometres or miles or marvellous rights of way we've got, but there's apparently a problem around clearing and policing and maintaining them. And somebody knows of a great leaflet that West Lavington have on rights of way, landowner duties, what the public can do about this. So that was quite a nice angle. Last but one, coming from, I'm fairly new to it, but coming from some transition Marlborough, we had a little bit of discussion around recycling. We like the point in the document about with Marlborough area being the lowest, generating the lowest residual waste in Wiltshire. We think that means basically what's not recycled, coming out of households, etc. But we think the real point is, that's great, let's fly that flag, but let's say we can push for more. An interesting thing we've discovered in the recycling group of Transition Marlborough is that Oxfordshire has public depots where you can take the other kinds of plastic as well. And so could we have that in Wiltshire? Right? There are places around the country where you can take polystyrene, not just plastic bottles of a certain prescribed type. Things like this. So we could be working collectively with Hills or whoever to improve further. And then the last point we got onto was the environmental impacts. I'm sure it will come up with transport, but of the north-south lorries. There's connected with that. There's a huge problem around the petrol stations in town. But so there's the fuel, the air quality, and the very occasionally, certain points of the week and the day, very intense congestion. So we thought something on that could be just trying to work out as a small initiative. Is it actually quicker, cheaper, or lower carbon to go from Junction 15 to the south coast through Marlborough, or on a more driver-friendly route along the M4 and the A34? And that sort of thing, we could even do that in the schools to work the sums out and see if there's much of a difference or if it's a close fit, and try and push back somehow. That's a quick roundup from the environment.